was waiting to see if I had a burp or fart, and nothing was coming. Welcome to Buzzbait, your wave of something new each week. I'm your host, Lara, and with me are Colin and Megan. And today we have something a little different planned because of poor planning on my part.
That's all of our parts. None of us had anything ready.
Honestly, though. But Colin actually came up with a funny, cute little idea that I then was like, actually, we're going to do something different.
We're going to do something similar, different.
Yep. And we're doing kind of our own little death battle of characters that we would like to see fight. If you're unfamiliar with death battle, think of like Goku versus Superman.
Think of the kid on the playground in elementary school who said his dad could beat up your dad.
Oh yeah,
we're doing that, but with actual cool people and characters.
But with our dads.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't ready, I'm ready.
So like I said, I've got one big one that I've got ready, and then I've got a couple like silly ones to throw out there later.
So I think I speak for everybody when I say this is one we want to see. The Coca Cola Polar Bear versus Smokey the Bear. Only you can prevent forest fires.
Okay. Here's the thing.
What is
the Coca Cola Polar Bear is hella docile for a polar bear because polar bears are like, to my understanding, they're like grizzly bears on crack. They're like way more vicious.
They are,
and aggressive than even grizzly bears, which are like the most aggressive bear.
Yeah, they're considered the most dangerous species of bear, just on the planet.
Yeah. So there's that fun thing, but it's like super docile, right? And then you've got a grizzly bear that's also super docile.
I just looked it up to make sure. The U.S. Forest Service confirmed in July 20th, 2016, Smokey the Bear is an American black bear.
Okay.
Unless this is just referring to Smokey Bear, which is just like something that they like just have a named bear. But
Smokey the Bear mascot.
Yeah, that's what I saw. That's why. I thought
he was a grizzly bear.
That's why if you looked at my camera, I got really confused because like I looked up Smokey the Bear, and then it just under like the Wikipedia thing, it just says like breeds American black bear, but then it linked to a Facebook post, and I was like, what is going on here? Yeah, American black bear. It says on his Wikipedia.
I'm looking at the poster of him right now, and he's fucking.
He's not a black bear, but it. Apparently, the only canonical confirmation of what kind of bear he is from that Facebook post.
You want to know what, though? I'm looking at one of, like, the early arts. It says, Bear's debut poster. He kind of looks like a black bear in that one.
Yeah, so I wonder if they just changed it because people were more familiar with what a grizzly bear looked like. The original Smokey Bear playing in his pool at the National Zoo sometime during the 1950s, and it's a black bear.
Yeah.
5-pound, 3-month-old American black bear cub.
Okay, well, I'm doing the original one, which is the fucking grizzly bear.
That is the original.
A grizzly bear versus a polar bear is a whole other situation.
Man, those are the top two
We're
bears.
Talking about character versus character, then Smokey Bear is a black bear, and the polar bear is gonna fucking wipe the floor with him.
Yeah, but okay, so
they're both hella docile, so they wouldn't want to fight. But the polar bear's gonna fucking
like
cook.
Sentient.
Have you seen the polar bear commercials? It's pretty fucking sentient. It doesn't speak.
I was gonna say I don't hear it be speaking. I don't know if I hear Smokey the Bear called the Coca Cola Polar Bear. Does it have a name? Anyways, if I hear it call it a bitch, I'm gonna be on Smokey's side. I feel like that'd be funny.
Yeah. You can be on its side all you want, but it's not gonna fucking win. Versus a polar
also, does
bear?
he normally have an axe too?
Shovel.
Okay, so a weapon.
Does he have opposable thumbs magically?
See, I want to support the polar bear because polar bears are in fact insane.
He does actually. He does have thumbs.
The polar bear originated in a French commercial, so the polar bear loses. Sorry.
Ooh.
Sorry, gang.
Listen,
the use of the polar bear. Where did it say it? Oh, there we go. The Coca-Cola company first used a polar bear in a 1922 French advertisement depicting a bear squirting Coca-Cola into the mouth of a thirsty, anthropomorphized son.
Smokey the Bear is also anthropomorphized and has opposable thumbs. I believe also has like kind of human feet.
That's the thing, is the Coca Cola Bear has the dexterity to open a Coca Cola bottle.
The episode discussion channel is gonna look fucking bonkers for this episode. But there's the reference of the first time Coca-Cola used the polar bear mascot, and that is a picture. I don't know why they drew the sun like that, but that is what they chose to do.
Jesus Christ.
Oh wow.
But in reality, if we were just doing what the animals are, what the characters are based on, the polar bear wins. But yeah, like based on what they can do, Smokey the Bear wields that shovel with authority, and the polar bear just drinks soda. He's probably like got diabetes or something. He's probably not doing so hot.
Also, do we assume that they're docile because we've never seen
them kill anybody? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again,
if Smokey the Bear is actively trying to save lives, I don't think he's going to go in for the kill. Are you kidding me?
I don't remember.
I don't remember if it was a campfire that's still going and like the people are just.
I was gonna say I don't think if it was I don't remember if it was canon or not. But somebody did make like a dark Smokey the Bear advertisement that I watched like a long time ago, where it was basically just like it wasn't just like only you can prevent it was like he did find a campfire that didn't get put out, and then like it cuts to him walking up to a tent. And then the camera just like starts to fade to black, and then you hear horrible noises.
That's what I'm saying. If he comes,
I'm 99% sure that it like wasn't a canon production, but
or like if he finds out like that you were doing it, are you found again? He got a shovel. He can bury you.
Also, Smokey the Bear collaborated with the main characters of the Bambi movie,
and also for doing age, how old is Smokey the Bear?
Smokey the Bear first appeared in 1944. Coca Cola Bear first appeared in 1922.
Younger. So in the Retirement Fight Club,
he's 22 years younger. So it's not like a slight difference either.
Smokey the Bear is gonna get fucking wiped. Look at the size difference between what Smokey the Bear would be and what the fucking Coca Cola Polar Bear would be, and tell me that fucking animal is gonna win, shovel or not.
I was gonna say polar bear's jaws.
You cannot change my
just
mind.
The skull size of a polar bear versus a grizzly bear is insane. Because polar bears
are massive.
Skulls are huge. Yeah.
It's like that debate though, where people really thought that a gorilla could kill a grizzly bear before a grizzly bear killed a gorilla, and I said that that's fucking insane, and they're so incredibly wrong. And I could go on about that topic and how wrong they fucking are for ages. I'm like, first of all, a grizzly bear can like continue to move and has been reported to move after getting shot in the fucking head with a gun. You think a gorilla is gonna stop that shit? No. Not gonna happen. Anyways, you ready to be offended, Lara?
Oh no.
Sure.
Asmith, Ben 10.
Okay.
On the same ranking as an African bullfrog.
That makes sense.
Doesn't he have like incredible like mental like? I feel like it's not taking into account his like mental capabilities at all.
It doesn't. The Versus Wiki only takes like
it's just what feats you got with throwing the ones.
Which like Asmith, is literally the smartest being in the entire universe.
He's very
in the Ben 10
small,
universe.
and his muscles are upside down.
He's only like 2 inches tall.
Taking him out.
Yeah,
he's only 2 inches tall and
yeah.
has no really like strength or physical feats.
I don't know if it's a species of bullfrog, but there's a species of frog that eats small birds.
Yeah, there are.
So like, a bullfrog is for like, I love him. The man's smart. He was a very important character in the series. If the bullfrog gets the jump on him, bullfrog wins. That's a snack. He's probably still going to be hungry afterwards. He's going to go looking for actual food.
Okay, you guys want my other
Buzz
death battle?
Toy Story is also on this list.
Is this another silly one, or is this?
No.
All right, what you got?
This is holy shit. My eye itches so bad.
I was wondering why you were fingering around in there.
Ugh. Finger around my wet ball. Yeah, I had to. I can't fucking stop. Marrow Ammon from RWBY, which if you don't remember, that is the dog faunus on the Aesops,
Oh,
with
yeah.
the boomerang gun and his ability stop or stay. Versus
The ultimate
Max
cop.
Caulfield from Life is Strange.
I'm sorry.
So, because I imagined that this battle is literally about who the fuck gets their hands up first,
Right.
right? Because in a way, they can both kind of stop someone, right? Because Max Caulfield can not only rewind time, but we've seen her also be able to stop it in extreme dire circumstances.
Right. My
But Max Caulfield, she has the Life is Strange original series has comic books and that tie into the game, of course, where she does just really crazy random shit. Like weather manipulation now. It's where there was a
Okay.
storm and she changed she changed the direction of where it was going.
where was that in the game?
This was after. This was after she mastered the power that she somehow gained other powers.
Right. Okay.
She was able to change the wind, the rain, and the temperature of the storm,
Damn.
which that's such a specific power. She's also able in the comics to she was with someone and they complained, they were like, "Oh, I forgot about my drink and now it's cold." And she was able to rewind the time of that specific object to make it hot again. Which I wish I had that power. I wouldn't have to microwave anything ever. That's so cool.
You just rewind a person back into a baby and then just fucking chuck them against the wall. I was just thinking, like, because, like, you're right, like, they were just, like, who got their hands up first, like, in that situation.
Literally, who would get their hands up first? Now, the Versus Wiki, I explained to you guys before, I was like, I thought of a matchup, and this was the one where I thought of a matchup, and I was like, that seems kind of unbalanced. I was like, it seems like, Marrow would just take it. But when I looked it up, they're actually not too far in power level. Obviously, because Max Caulfield doesn't really do anything physically, like power-wise, I guess. They tiered her a little lower, but she had so much more just like in terms of powers because of the games and the comics. And if we wanted to be fair, be like, oh, well, Marrow has a gun. Okay, then we'll do Max and Chloe. What now?
That's a tough one, yeah, because it really is just a matter of I assume going into this fight, like they're both aware that like the other person is like the bad guy.
I would say I would say so. I would say that
Okay.
in each fight here, they're kind of aware.
Then I
of
think
each other.
I think the only real advantage one of them has is that Marrow has like special forces training, so his reaction time alone would be faster.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Max
is just high school girl.
Yeah, we love the game. We played it. Go watch those videos. Like Max is in fact just a teenage girl.
Yeah.
So like I think in terms of like whoever can get like the ability off first, I think it's going to be Marrow just because he has actual like military training.
That's fair.
But also in that same aspect, like neither of them are going to try and kill the other one, so it really is just like
yeah, I think they're just going to try to like
it's just going to be trying to stop the other person, which
disarm or like disable them,
right, which is what we saw in RWBY. Small spoilers if you guys haven't watched it yet, but like get your life together, do something good. Like we saw that like when they during the training episodes, like they're attacking each other with like crazy speeds and power, and the whole time he's just like I'm like obviously he's like I can't fucking kill these kids.
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say right at the end of volume 7, again,
right.
Spoilers, when they're fighting, and Marrow's like, we just need to take you in for questioning, like we're not trying to hurt you. Meanwhile, everybody else is actually trying to hurt them. It's only Marrow that's not trying.
It's so funny too, because like I rewatched it a while ago, like after we had finished watching it all together. I rewatched it once, and like yeah, like rewatching it, I was just like, you can clearly see that like the other members of the ops team are very much like, I hate how strong you were during training, and Meryl's like, guys, we just need to stop fight, like just fucking get him in handcuffs, and she's just like, no, she embarrassed me in training, I'm gonna kill this blonde girl. And then what's her? I can't remember her name.
Blonde lesbian, and I hate gays.
What is it? Harriet. Harriet was
Rabbit
fucking
girl.
Harriet was fucking beefing with RWBY. So as soon as RWBY was like, we're actually not going to follow your orders, she's like, I was hoping you'd say that. And then RWBY just dog walked her.
They were so ready to fight those fucking kids.
Like,
they were so ready to fight those fucking kids. That
line still hits hard where it's just like, you guys were the best. Then you trained us, and
then
I was
you
like,
trained us. Oh, peak.
I was like, ooh, maybe that's why they're trying to kill you guys. Actually,
yeah, because you fucking talked mad shit.
Yeah, like that was the biggest slight.
Well, to be fair, hold on. At the beginning of Volume 7, Harriet was the one to talk shit first, because RWBY was like, "Oh my god, you have speed powers just like me. Like I haven't met somebody that has like a similar power." And Harriet was just like, "Well, I'm faster than you." Like just straight up, just.
Still, my favorite thing from that arc is still when Penny like told RWBY how her power works, and then Weiss just goes, "Did you not know that that's what your semblance does?" And RWBY just goes, "Well, of course I knew what it did."
She fucking, but that's the thing, because I don't think that Harriet or whatever the fuck her name is that fast. Where she can she go through fucking walls and shit like. RWBY?
No, she's not that fast, but like she is the first other character we see with a speed power.
No, that's what I was.
But I mean,
she's like, I'm faster, and then RWBY immediately fucking.
Yeah, the difference between the two of them, once Penny teaches RWBY how her semblance works.
Yeah, because RWBY can like separate.
Yeah, RWBY can go around and through things, but also Harriet's power still requires her to be able to touch the surface to move. RWBY just needs to be able to see it, and she can just go up.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you're in an area where it's just, like, floating platforms, per se, like, Harriet's going to have to actually still be able to make the jump.
Yeah, she has to at least touch each platform.
Yeah. Whereas RWBY can just be like, cool, I'm at the bottom, at the top. I like how this started with one character, and we've just changed it to the Special Ops versus the RWBY squad. Which we already know how that one ended. It ended with one of them wrapping themselves around a bomb and dying.
Not during the fight.
Not during the fight. That was a different thing. It ended with the experienced military personnel getting dog walked by college students.
Yeah, by some fucking 19-year-olds. Get fucked.
But yeah, so Marrow versus Max, like I said, it's just gonna. I think Marrow's gonna take it just because he has military training, so his reaction time alone is probably gonna be a bit quicker.
That's exactly where I was going to.
It probably depends though, because I think that you made a great fucking comment where he's got like restraint. And so depending on the situation, like if he knows what the other person can do. And so if he knows like how extreme her powers are going into it and has that preparation, but if he's just walking up on this fucking college age fucking woman,
well, that was the assumption. That was why I clarified. It's like, do they both know that like the other person is like the bad guy?
I assume each
the bad guy
death battle to me is kind of like a UFC fight. We're going in like you know your opponent, but you don't know what to expect in the ring.
Yeah, like you can see like what they've done in the past, but like I've seen it happen before with UFC fights where it's like a guy who's normally known for boxing has secretly been like doing martial arts on the side, and he shows up in the fight, and it's just like he's a renowned boxer. Like you just got to duck that, like,
and then he brings it right to the ground.
Yeah, like you got to like you got to duck that right hook, and then instead of a right hook, he grabs you by the waist and like stretches your bones.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like you, in each death battle, in my head, the other person can like see the feats of what they're going against. And like, okay,
you say.
can see the toes.
Them
But they can
dogs
see kind
are
of
bark.
the feats that the other character that they're going against has
Right.
done, but they don't know what to expect. Right? So Meryl might be going in being like, "Oh my god, I'm against a fucking time master manipulator," and then it's a fucking 18-year-old girl and is like,
That'd
"Hold
be so
on."
funny if that'd be so funny if
Right.
instead of like getting the details on who your opponent like actually is, it's just like here's all they can do, and he just goes, "Oh my god, this is probably going to be like a 40-year-old person who's like trained this
Yeah,
ability
he's
for
expecting
years."
Doctor Strange,
Yeah, and then like the other side of the arena door opens, and it's just like this little
Max Caulfield of all
17-year-old girl just nervously walking to like meet him in the middle, and he just goes,
socially
weird
anxious girl.
guitar music is just playing in the background. He's like, "What the fuck?" Her
he's just
entrance
like
music.
he's like
is
looking
that
around. He's
shitty.
like, does she? The paper didn't say anything about like there being like a girl controlling like a demon. It just said time manipulator, and she just goes, "Hi."
And she just
Those
goes,
ears?
yeah, I was gonna say she's gonna be like, "Are those real ears?"
She just goes, "Do you know what happened to Rachel?"
Yeah, she's gonna go, "Hey, do you know where Chloe is?" And he's gonna be like, "I am out of my league." He goes, "I don't know what's happening."
Like, can you describe her? Like, I could help you look for her after the fight. She just goes, she's got blue hair. She's
And
got blue
then
hair, and it's like,
she
oh,
she lifts up her hand, and it just boop, 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 and like she automatically just appears behind him when he's coming back in, and he's like, "Oh my god!" As he's entering the arena, she just appears behind him because she rewound time, just
All right.
there, and he's
Yeah.
like,
I do think that he could be caught off guard if not properly prepared, but if he is fully aware of the situation and like who he's
he would
going
be
up
taking
against,
it for sure.
All
I
right.
think that
So you mentioning that like she appears behind him as he enters the arena brings up a secondary fight that I just had in my head, which is who would win in a fight of Max Caulfield versus Itachi Uchiha, because both of their powers are making their opponent go backwards. Because Itachi's genjutsu just repeatedly makes you do the same thing over and over, but like he controls what's happening, but it's basically just the same thing that you do in the game where you constantly rewind time to make the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, who would win in a fight if Max can technically rewind time, but if she gets caught in the genjutsu, can she like rewind herself out of it, or does she just like rewinding within the like created space?
that's interesting because
The only difference is, unlike the other fight, Itachi, since he was like 6 years old, has been trained to kill people, regardless of who they are.
Oh, okay. Well, Max is probably not taking it.
I don't think Max is taking that one either. But I also think it's not just because his one jutsu obviously
Yeah, he has his
affects that,
genjutsu. Yeah, he has his genjutsu that like traps you in a looping.
but, mhm.
I guess scene is the best word for it. He has another jutsu called Amaterasu, which is the ever burning flame, which it's a black flame that cannot be put out. It will burn until it destroys whatever it ignites.
Yeah, and I feel like the thing is he's gonna just get in because he's gonna immediately like because here's the thing, because I believe his jutsu is like he meets the eyes, right? He barely needs to do anything but like
Yeah,
eye
if
contact.
you look in his eyes, then he traps you
Yeah,
almost
so unless
immediately.
she knows like do not look in his eyes,
Which, if
like
in the series multiple people shout like when they see him, they literally yell, "Don't look in his eyes." So
yeah.
like it's a somewhat well-known fact that like if you can avoid his eyesight, like you can avoid that.
But think
Then
about
you
how fast he is. I
right, that's
don't
the
think
other
she'd be
thing.
able to.
That's the unfortunate thing about trying to scale like Max Caulfield, who is a technically realistic real world girl. She just has time powers versus a world full of like ninja who have magic energy flowing through their bodies that they can turn into insane shit.
Yeah, but I think that he would get eye contact immediately because someone would be like, "Don't look him in his eyes," and she'd be like, "Maybe he's just misunderstood,"
I
and
don't know.
it'd be
Listen,
fucking
we played the
dominating
game. Max
Steve.
Caulfield's pretty good at not making eye contact.
That's
Okay,
true.
you're
My
right.
girl has the tism. She's not
She
making.
definitely does.
The only person she looks in the eyes is Chloe. That's it.
Dead ass. And maybe the mom. Maybe
Yeah.
her mom. Like, that's it.
But yeah,
Okay, so Meryl's taking that one.
yeah, Marrow, and then the advanced
If
hypothetical Itachi, I think definitely wins because he's a killer. He killed his whole
Miro's taking it.
family, and then I think he was captain of an Anbu team when he was 12, which is like the Naruto universe's special forces.
All right. Well, if you guys are ready
Yeah,
and have a fight that you want to share,
I've got my big one. So this one is going to cause a lot of debate because I believe technically, it is a fight between. I didn't choose like the best swordsman from all of them, but it is a fight between renowned swordsmen in the big three animes. And I chose them all at like their strongest forms, which is Zoro after time skip, Kisame Hoshigaki, sorry. And for his, I was going to use his power scaling when he's fused with his legendary sword, the Samehada. And then Kenpachi Zaraki, specifically in the newest, I shouldn't say newest because I think it's already still kind of old now, and that makes me feel old. But the what the hell is it called? The 1,000-Year Blood War. When he's fighting Gremmy, sorry, not Grenny. When he's fighting Gremmy, those are the stats I'm using for Kenpachi. So Zoro from One Piece, Kisame from Naruto, and Kenpachi from Bleach.
the only one that I'm familiar with is Zoro.
Okay, I was like, I don't
and
know.
I'm not even familiar
I was
with
gonna say, I was
the
like, I don't
time
know.
skip.
Yeah, so in the time skip, they had all been training their various skills for 2 years, and then they come back together. Zoro was training with the world's greatest swordsman, who he intends to kill someday. After time skip, I don't remember when exactly he got the title, but after the raid. So his current title in the anime is Zoro is the King of Hell. Kisame is the Monster of the Hidden Mist. And Kenpachi, what is his title? I looks like he doesn't have like a secondary title that people give him, so we'll just go by the fact that he is the captain of the 11th division. So I'm double checking if it does. Yeah, he's the 11th Soul Reaper to hold the position. And so he's the 11th Soul Reaper to hold the position he's got as captain of the 11th division, and his name is Kenpachi, which apparently I don't know if the name was given to him after he got his position or what, but it brands him as the strongest Soul Reaper in martial combat. And everybody in the Soul Reaper, I don't know if I shouldn't say everybody, but most of the characters in Bleach that are part of the Soul Society used swords, because they have 3 different forms. There's your Zanpakuto, which is just the default power of your sword. And then your Shikai, which is like your sword has an ability and usually they'll change form. And then your Bankai is like the strongest power that you have. And then for Kisame, he's one of the 7 deadly swordsmen of the mist. And I think towards the end of the series, he might be the only surviving member. There might be a couple more, but he is classified as an S rank ninja, which basically just means if you encounter, like, he's not, so Naruto has weird classifications. There's something called the Bingo Book, which it references that a couple characters from the Leaf Village are in it, and that is basically around the world there are ninja that the Hidden Leaf Village is like, if you encounter this person, like, you are to kill them or bring them in. And then I think Kisame is part of that. I know Itachi is, and they traveled together for a while, so I don't know if Kisame got put in it beforehand or if he might have been added to it because of his connection with Itachi. And then Zoro, like I said, he's the King of Hell, and he has a cursed sword that it kills the wielder if they're unworthy of its, if like the sword deems the person unworthy of their power. And Zoro has had that since I think before the time skip, and it hasn't killed him yet. So there's something going on with him.
There's some fucked up with that man, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just the characters and a rough description. For actual feats, things are going to get a little insane, but bear with me.
Okay.
So we'll start with Zoro. His attack potency on this site, the versus battles, it starts at island level, and one of his more casual attacks that he has post time skip is capable of like destroying an island. His max, I think his max caps out, according to the scaling website, with his infusion with when he fully like launches one of his attacks where he's fused with his sword, it's called Enma. Mm-hmm. It is believed that he is potentially small planet level.
Okay.
They put some stuff in context.
Yeah, so in the last big arc, Wano, he fought another swordsman named King, and King in the fight sensed that Zoro was using the sword. Again, the sword's called Enma. King sensed that Enma was being fully used by Zoro, and King even did take a hit from him. Even after taking that hit, though, King still thought, like, I could probably still take this guy.
Okay.
So, like, that's why I think it's limited to small planet level, because it's just like that acknowledgement that, like, this guy who he's kind of
who is a small planet.
Yeah, like he's kind of a renowned swordsman for like but he's mostly renowned because he's part of like the crew of Kaido, who is the leader of the Beast Pirates. I think I forget what he might have named his fleet, but yeah. So it's basically just like he took the hit from Zoro with this empowered ability, and King was just like, I think I could still win. Like, I think I could still do this.
Okay.
For speed, I don't know what exactly this means, but the site lists him as relativistic plus.
I have no idea what that means.
I don't know what that actually like means, but eventually later on it does reference that Zoro might be faster than light.
Well, I think that's the thing.
Most of the One Piece characters, unfortunately, with how One Piece scaling works, most of the characters are listed as being FTL.
That's the thing, is what I think it means is relativistically plus. It's like relative to the world that they're from, and then greater. I think that's what that is.
Okay.
Is relative
okay.
plus.
That makes sense then.
Because like, so the issue with One Piece is that there's so many, like, there's literally a character whose abilities are just like he can fire light projectiles as a weapon, and like the fact that there are characters who can dodge or react to them when because like it's implied that like he's attacking not just with light but with the properties of light, so it's implied that his attacks are just moving at
literally just light,
the light of speed, or the light of speed, the speed of light.
The light of speed.
And there are characters who can block, dodge, or like even counterattack them. So basically anybody who's done that, it's like, oh, well, this person's faster than light because they blocked Kizaru's attack. But
right.
I don't think we ever get a confirmation that like Kizaru is trying to fight you at the speed of light. His lifting strength is classified as class P because there's another Marine captain whose ability is just gravity. And Zoro just kind of went, no, and just kept moving.
No.
Like, he got a little slowed down by it, but yeah, like, he just kind of was like, I don't feel
powered
like...
through it.
Yeah, I just...
like a trooper.
Gravity's not real. It's fake. And also, he directly, like, blocked an attack from Kaido and Big Mom at the same time.
Big Mom?
And, like, yeah, like, they're the same size. Like, they're both, like, these giant people.
Okay.
And he just like fully with two swords just held him up and was like, nope, stop, can't do that. And then so similar to his attack potency, because all of his attacks are technically strikes from his sword, his striking power is also considered small planet. His durability peaks at moon level, just because the people that they fight are insane and like to an like
Gods.
the funniest thing in One Piece is always if you watch Nami and Usopp's reaction to any fight, those are two mostly regular people reacting to what is essentially gods fighting in front of them. So anytime like everybody's like, oh, Usopp's such a coward, I was like, yeah, bro, he's got a slingshot and there's motherfuckers made out of magma throwing punches. I'd cry too.
Honestly, yeah. I'd be pissed and crying and shitting my
Yeah,
pants for
like
sure.
you goddamn right he's a coward. I would be too if I saw it. Like your own captain is made out of rubber and chooses to fight demons. His stamina is superhuman because like he every time it shows like him on the ship when everybody else is like, oh, I'm just gonna relax in the sun. Zoro's like doing like exercises with what I can only imagine are like almost 1 ton weights.
Okay.
Like the man does not stop training. It's insane. His range, he has slightly extended range because his swords, at least when he starts using Enma's power, his swords can like launch like those classic like waves.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he has that, but for the most part, if you can get out of melee range and he's not like charged up, like he can't really get to you.
Okay.
So that's Zoro's
That's Zoro.
like base coverage. Kisame, he's very unique in the fact that so all seven deadly swordsmen have special swords. Kisame's is the only sword that is alive. And
Okay.
Kisame's sword also, when it cuts you, it like steals chakra from the people you're fighting, and he uses that chakra to then like empower himself. The issue with that is that most of like these power scaling things go on the idea that like you either have to assume everybody has the same like power. So like One Piece doesn't talk about chakra, but for like this fight to be fully fair, because Zoro technically uses haki in his fight, you have to assume that Zoro technically has chakra that Kisame can steal.
Right.
So I'm specifically doing the power scaling when he is fused with his sword, which makes him look like an actual giant shark monster.
That's awesome.
I will show you the picture. I'll post it in the idea or episode discussion. If you guys aren't in the Discord and you want to see all these cool pictures that I'm talking about, join the Discord, linked in the somewhere.
Yeah, the episode discussions, we talk about our the episode that comes out, but you also kind of get, as you're getting now, sneak peeks at what's coming.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure it's very confusing.
Yeah, it's very confusing, and like eventually like the episode comes out and it'll be like, yeah, guys, remember when we talked about this?
Yeah, and then it makes sense.
Yeah, so these are the 3 variations in which he's displayed in the show. The first one is his basic one, that the sword is always like bandaged up until he needs to use it. The second one is when it's revealed later that like the sword is actually alive and it starts like bending and shit.
Why is he green?
That's a great
Shark Boy.
It's a great question. And so that's the funny thing is in the actual anime, he's shown as being blue. So I'm not sure why I don't know if it's like just a difference between like the American anime display and the Japanese original. But yeah, in like the show, he's shown as being blue. So I don't know why he shows up as green. But yeah, so I am doing the version where he's fused with the sword and looks like that shark monster.
Okay, gotcha.
And then the hard part with that, at least, is that his power and stats are directly affected by how much chakra he has absorbed or has like stored up. So it's one of those things where it's like the longer he survives in the fight, the stronger he's going to become.
Okay.
So yeah, obviously like he can use chakra to also just make himself stronger. For actual feats, he is described as having small country level plus with his attack potency. When he fuses with Samehada, it makes him far more powerful, noted as being his true power and the reason for his other moniker, the tailed beast without a tail. The tailed beasts there's 9 of them. Naruto has the strongest one, which is Kurama, the 9-tailed fox. But they are all considered incredibly powerful entities, and they are all currently sealed within people.
Okay.
And if the person can bond with their tailed beast, they can like sort of share chakra and like use their power in a human form, which is terrifying. Kisame was so dangerous that they were like, he doesn't have a tailed beast, but he fights like he does.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, like it's one of those things where like it goes from country level plus, and then it's just described as it can be higher based on how much chakra he absorbs from people.
Makes sense.
His speed is relativistic, so by speed standards, he's far slower than Zoro, at least. His lifting strength is class M, which is a couple levels lower than what Zoro's was, but his actual feat is that he broke apart Captain Yamato's wood release stocks, which were suppressing his chakra, and he was already injured and weakened. And without like having access to all of his chakra, he was still able to snap out of a wood style jutsu, and wood style is considered one of the strongest chakra natures. His striking strength, it's another one where like it's small country level, but then if he can absorb enough chakra, he just keeps getting stronger. His durability is also at least listed as small country, especially while fused with his sword, because the sword's entire thing is that like once they fuse together, I believe it's implied that he now has the power of the sword, so he just has to like hit you and he can start stealing your chakra, and it can simultaneously heal him, empower him, and just help him become faster and faster. His stamina is just listed as superhuman. Yeah, his range goes from standard melee. He has several meters extending with Samehada, kilometers with Suitan, and then he, because of his specialized jutsu, he has interdimensional range because he can summon creatures, mostly shark-based, but he can summon them just anywhere they need to be, pretty much. Once he's fully powered up, like he can just look across the ocean and be like, shark over there.
Okay.
And it'll just go out of the water. The only equipment he has is Samehada, which is his sword, which in this form he's fused with for the sake of arguing the characters at their strongest.
Right.
His intelligence is just listed at least above average, which I think for Zoro, he is. Zoro is above average in battle, but in general day-to-day, Zoro is average.
Okay. Got it.
I forgot about that. Oh, and I completely missed the weaknesses section. Zoro's main weakness is that that man gets lost every fucking episode. If somebody isn't like right there holding his hand and be like, we have to go this way, he's just like, he's wrong way, different place.
He's winging it.
Just on a different continent, maybe. And then he also has to be careful. So like this brings up the part of like, if the fight goes on too long, Zoro can unleash Enma's full power. If he does it for too long, Enma will kill him.
Got it. Okay.
And so another thing is just like his internal like recklessness, regardless of how many injuries he suffers, he'll just keep fighting until he wins.
Which I feel like, I don't know, kind of puts him at a disadvantage if he's going to kill him at his maximum power. But then again, don't the ninja die if they use their maximum power?
Nope. There's only 2 listed abilities that cause ninja to die from using them. The 8 inner gates, when you unlock the 8th gate, it is called the Gate of Death. And when that ends, you are like it. The 8th inner gate, so the gates are all at like different points on their body. The 8th gate is your heart. And it starts funneling chakra either from or directly into your heart to make you stronger, faster, and everything. So it's generally stated that like if you unlock the 8th inner gate, you are going to die after this fight.
Now, Guy, along with I think another team against Kisame, he had to open 6 of the gates.
Yep. In the final battle in the Great Ninja War, or Great Shinobi War, I think it's called, he is fighting a partially transformed Madara Uchiha, and everybody starts finding out that like ninjutsu doesn't work on him, which is when like they fire the elemental attacks. And Guy is the strongest taijutsu user, I believe, currently alive in the Naruto universe. So he says that he's gonna fight him, and everybody's like, you can't, like, in order to fight him, you'd have to. And Guy just basically tells him, he's like, yes, I'm gonna have to open the 8th gate. And so there's a scene where originally he shows up, like he opens the gate and he's blue, and that isn't enough to fight Madara, so it cuts to him just saying the blue beast has died, it's time for the red beast to be unleashed, and his chakra nature changes to red, and he starts fucking putting the hands on this guy who's basically considered a shinobi god before he got fused with this weird power, to the point where in this form Madara literally yells, "I declare you as the strongest taijutsu user in the universe." And then I think in that fight, just from activating the ability, not actually like getting hit by anything, Guy breaks his leg, he breaks his arm, and I think he says that he breaks a few of his ribs just from having the gates open.
Yeah.
And then the other one is called the Reaper Death Seal. You basically kill yourself to trap somebody's power.
Right.
You can trap their power. They use it to seal. That's how a couple of the characters sealed the tailed beasts into the bodies.
I thought that was also how the fourth Hokage? No, third Hokage tried to seal Orochimaru.
That's how he sealed Orochimaru. Yeah, so you can seal their power. Like, you can seal one person's power, or in the case of the tailed beasts, you can seal the beast into something else. Though the nature of doing that part was a secret that it is implied that Naruto's mother's clan were the people who knew how to do that sealing. And so with the clan gone, it's somewhat unclear how the other tailed beasts were being sealed away.
But I think that
and then
the cap that like you're most like that you're gonna die if you use it for too long just means that the person has to just out resilience you as long as they can withstand you for any amount of time at your peak strength or avoid dying at the peak strength. So I think that puts that at an immediate disadvantage.
The tough part with that, though, is that without knowing the characters or seeing the fight scenes, it's hard to explain properly. But the fight that Zoro had, where he was like it scaled his power at like Small Planet, I forget what the ability's called, but he basically grows extra arms that are also holding swords. And he just kind of like, they all just kind of start spinning fast enough that he basically just kind of like takes off like a projectile. And like, that's how he does like longer distance attacking, like to close the gap. And it's been shown multiple times that like he can cut through insane shit.
So the thing is, would he? I mean, he's then it's most likely that he's going to kill someone else before then. So then, before he has to utilize his maximum level of power for too long.
And then the Kisame's only real main weakness is that if you can, like, it doesn't really apply much because we're doing the part where like he is fused with the sword. But if he wasn't fused with it, he can't really do anything if the sword is taken from him, because he relies on the sword to absorb the chakra and to like feed him.
Okay.
But if the sword gets like knocked out of his hand, the sword can like sort of worm its way back into his hands.
Interesting.
And now for the third guy, Kenpachi. Again, this is specifically after the events of the 1,000-Year Blood War, where Kenpachi defeats Gremmy. Which, if you haven't seen it before, that fight is insane because Gremmy's power is the power of imagination. Anything Gremmy believes becomes real with, like, I don't know if it's like within the entire world or just within a certain range around him.
Mm-hmm.
And Kenpachi's power, quote unquote, is that he has unimaginable power. So it's the fight, like the fight by the community was labeled as unimaginable power meets the power of imagination. So for Kenpachi's feats and stats, he is multi-solar system when his eye patch is removed, because his eye patch, I think, is his Shikai, and it is literally a power limiter. Like, his sword's power is to stop him from destroying the world every time he fights.
Okay, so I feel like we know who's gonna win this fight now.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Like, I love Zoro to death, but like Kenpachi is a monster. But his speed, I don't know. I think I'm not familiar with like all the scientific terms, but Kenpachi is hypersonic. I don't know how that compares to faster than light.
Hypersonic is faster than the sound barrier.
Okay. His lifting strength. So if you remember, Zoro was class P. Kisame was class M. Kenpachi is class T. His striking strength, just the sword attacks. Again, this is without him having his eye patch, but it's also multi-solar system. His durability, multi-solar system.
This dude's crushing it.
He has superhuman strength, or superhuman stamina. His battling range goes from universal to interdimensional.
Oh my god.
His Ryatsu is considered to be able to shake all 3 realms of existence.
Okay.
His standard equipment is his
Okay.
is his Zanpakuto, his limiter eye patch, and I shit you not, he has bells in his hair so his opponents can anticipate his movements.
He had to give them some.
Yeah, he fully put bells in his hair because he's like, if you guys can't guess what I'm gonna do, this is gonna be unfair. I apologize. We have an event later, and my roommates are vacuuming. This is the downside to having roommates.
It's okay. I live in an apartment building where I don't have roommates. I just have neighbors. And last night, the girl below me had friends over.
Oh.
Which she normally does on like the weekends or Friday nights, which is fine. Because I'm typically up late anyways. They were up so late, and this was the loudest they've ever been. Typically, the walls here are pretty thick. So it's like if, I walk past your door and I hear you talking, I'm not going to hear you talking 5 feet any other direction, right? But again, she's right below me, so I'm above her. Her fucking friends would not shut the fuck up. Just loud constantly. Like conversations I don't really hear, but if you're like screaming and yelling the whole time, I will hear it. So downside of living on your own in an apartment, neighbors that you can't really control. Damn, sucks. RIP to us.
His standard equipment is, like I said, the Zanpakuto, his eye patch that limits his power, and then he has bells on his hair so that his opponents stand a better chance in the fight. His intelligence, he is gifted despite his genuine disregard for strategy and self-admitted aversion to thinking. He's actually very smart. His weakness is that he is incredibly overconfident, so he holds back in his fights by using the eye patch that like takes away some of his power. And then when he activates his Bankai, it sends him into a berserk state, and it's so powerful that he's got another one where if he uses his power for too long, it's going to rip him to pieces and kill him. So Two of them have the requirement that in order to win this fight, they have to win it quickly.
They have limited time.
The difference is, I don't know what this says about his actual like canon power, but the way he won the fight against the guy whose ability is the power of imagination is the guy made an uncuttable meteor. Kenpachi cut it. The guy got so scared imagining what Kenpachi could do that his brain killed himself. Like he started trying to imagine the limits of like what could like, because he created in his imagination an uncuttable boulder and like a meteor and dropped it on this man, and this man cut it in half like it was butter. And so his brain starts going, well, what else can he do? What else? And eventually his brain just like spiraled, and then he just like, I think blood like started coming out of his eyes, and he just like died.
All right, that's fucking insane. And I'm so sorry to derail this, but I swear to God, it sounds like someone's screaming sometimes because of the vacuum. And I genuinely thought that you were just unbothered by what sounded like someone going ah! in the background. Just, ah! And I was just like, Colin's so unbothered, nobody could be screaming. Like, it cannot be that. It's gotta be like a weird
thing. We're focusing on who's the best swordman, and it's this guy.
Clearly, because he just melted someone's fucking brain.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he didn't even do anything. He has to wear bells.
Sorry.
To give his opponents an advantage.
I was incorrect. He didn't stand still and imagine his power and died. He started screaming that this is the first time he's ever felt like he had to try hard to win. He is rushing at Kenpachi and like making himself more muscular to hit him. Kenpachi's not flinching or raising his weapon, and as he reaches out to attack him, his fingers start breaking and ripping apart.
Jesus fucking Christ. So like
and then his whole body just slowly
Literally.
and then his whole body, like he jumped from the ground and his whole body didn't even get to make contact, just starts slowly falling backwards, and Kenpachi just looks down at him and goes, "You imagine me to be an unkillable demon, so that's what I am to you." As his body is like ripping itself apart, falling to the ground.
That's hard.
That is hard.
This is the other part, is that up until this point, I don't think Kenpachi had ever used his Bankai, because he, like, every time you see him, he's with this little pink-haired girl, and like he takes care of her, he like keeps an eye on her, and he protects her from stuff. The beginning of this fight, this guy broke all the bones in her arms and like threw her out of the way. And so Kenpachi's already like pissed. Like this guy just attacked what is effectively like considered as his daughter. It's revealed that she is part of his Zanpakuto, and she just goes, "You never used your power." And she goes, "You have to activate it." And so when he does, that's when he enters that berserk state, and he looks like a fucking monster.
So, since there's not really a debate for us, let's have the people comment who could beat this fucking beast creature, fucking demon.
There are like I said, like when I was thinking of it, I was like, "Ooh, I could do like a swordsman battle," and I was like, "Oh, I could do it from like the big three." And I was going through, and I was like, if I do a swordsman battle between the big three and I don't include Kenpachi, the comments are going to call me a pussy. And I was like, but as I was doing it, I was like, Zoro is dying here. Like, there's
it's so unfair.
Yeah.
Like the only hope Zoro has is if he can somehow speed blitz Kenpachi before he can activate his Bankai.
So, really quick, let's do this. We'll break it up into three things. Clearly, Kenpachi is the fucking victor among swordsmen.
Yeah, he's...
But who do we think could fuck that guy up? One. And then two, we're gonna do Kisame...
Jesus Christ.
Kisame versus...
My power ranking, I think Jesus Christ could take it.
Laura, renowned Christian, devout.
But Kisame versus Zoro, and who can outlast and withstand and
I just chose Kisame because he's by far,
I'm thinking it's all three going at each other. So potentially Shark Boy and Zoro could kind of team up and maybe, you know, drag on the fight a little bit longer.
Maybe.
In theory.
Maybe.
In theory.
Maybe. But Zoro's
I chose
the one,
Kisame,
the
like I
limiter,
said,
isn't
because...
he? He's the one who, if he activates his power...
Zoro and Kenpachi.
Yeah, Zoro and Kenpachi can't use their full power for long or it will kill them. Kisame gets stronger the longer he fights.
Yeah. So Kisame at least has a great advantage over Zoro in that instance, unless Zoro is able to kill him before he can, you know, reach that peak power. But
yeah, the issue with them is that Kisame just needs to outlast, and he can basically, assumably, infinitely scale.
Nope.
Zoro and Kenpachi have to end that fight somewhat quickly or they die.
No question for us, since we're coming up on time here, but the question is for the audience on this.
Leave a comment of your own death battle. Who do you want to see fight? Also, who do you think would win? Actually, wait, no. You know what question should be? Is fucking Smokey Bear a grizzly bear or a black bear?
We've already answered that, though, Laura.
Also, I love that, like, Laura was just like, I've got these 2 fights, and it took, like, 30 minutes. And then it was like, I've got 1 fight, and it took the end of time.
Can I tell you?
You had to
you had to explain way more. We weren't as familiar with all of the characters, but also
I looked at the time and I was like, am I bad at this?
You're not bad at it. You were explaining it pretty well, to the point where even I was able to engage despite limited experience in the different, you know, stories and stuff. I mean, Naruto I feel like is the one that I know the most about, but so I was able to engage a little bit. But yeah, it was 25 minutes that you started talking.
But yeah. Oh, so I was talking for 35 minutes. So also, like I was mentioning, I chose Kisame because he's by far one of the most interesting swordsmen. Sasuke, by the end of the series, is considered the strongest swordsman. But even with Sasuke's power, I don't think it changes where Naruto ends up on the swordsman power scaling.
Yeah.
Because I think with Sasuke's power, because he doesn't have like the absorption, he just has his curse mark and he's got his lightning release. But yeah, it's just, as I was doing the list and I went through like Kenpachi's like actual feats, I was like, ooh, this is not as fun of a fight as I thought it was gonna be.
Question for the episode: Kool-Aid Man versus Grimace. Who's taking it?
Hell yeah.
That's for the listeners.
I would say, do we want to
at
weigh
home.
in? Do we want to weigh in with our opinion, or do we just want to leave
If you
that
wanna
up
weigh
to
in
the
quick,
listeners? My
because,
my vote is Grimace because
No.
that man's been eating McDonald's food since I was a child. His
the
gluttony
only
knows no
thing
bounds.
only thing I can give you is that Kool-Aid Man did have a Marvel's comic run.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Where he was able to like time travel, and he has mind manipulation.
Yeah, motherfucker could just
What the
blast through
fuck?
fucking walls and stuff.
His speed is also considered superhuman, and all this shit that fucking Kool-Aid Man can do. Again, this is just Marvel's comics. This is like old as fuck.
That's so
I mean, if we
wild.
wanted to go off just commercials alone, I would still personally give it to Kool-Aid Man because I've never seen Grimace run through a fucking brick
Yeah.
wall and break
Right.
it. You know?
That's wild. I didn't know that. I didn't know that
Yeah.
Kool-Aid Man had that kind of build.
He's got a lot of
If you look
juice.
But
Hey.
what are we, all right. After the
So if you're
question,
listening,
what are we keeping it?
what are we keeping it? Keep it juicy? Have we done juicy?
I don't think we have.
Can we
We're
keep
keeping
it juicy?
because the last 3 minutes of our podcast episode is like because I made a shitty pun about fucking the Kool-Aid Man. Okay.
I mean, what else could we
No,
keep
we're
it?
keeping it juicy. We're
Mhm.
keeping it fucking juicy.
Keep it juicy, keep that ass juicy, keep that pussy juicy.